Hi, and welcome to OverHERD at Career Education. This new podcast is a twice monthly outreach from the Office of Career Education. And now this session today is a little bit different. Typically, we record our podcast here in the WMUL studios on campus. They are very generous in letting us do that. That being said, my guest today is at a remote location, so recording here on the Huntington campus is not possible. But anyway, I want to go ahead and introduce my awesome guest and have him say maybe a little bit more about himself as well, Mr. Kyle Powers. So do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are, maybe some of the things you've done on campus, and just a brief introduction?
Absolutely. So yeah, my name, like you said, my name's Kyle Powers. I'm a senior going into my final semester, criminal justice major with a minor in political science. I'm also serving as a student body vice president alongside Anna Williams, who's a student body president. So on campus, I've been involved with, like I said, student government. I worked for HERD division when we first started the sports broadcasting group on campus, and also for a brief while I worked as a student equipment manager, so in Olympic sports. I've been on campus a little bit. My dad started working in 2007, so Marshall's been home to me for a number of years now. And growing up on campus, it really comes to fruition that I'm about to graduate as a son of Marshall. So it's pretty cool to tie everything in, and Marshall's been my number one choice for my entire life. So always been a son of the herd.
Oh, excellent. I love that. It sounds like, yeah, really most of your time growing up, you had your eyes on the prize, so to say, and you've not only have you gotten here and attended school, which in and of itself is, I think, is an amazing accomplishment, but as we want to jump into here in just a few moments, you've taken advantage of a lot of great opportunities. So I definitely want to hear about how those things came about. Because that's something I feel like in my department, we do presentations quite often. I tell students to take advantage of opportunities. And I always just kind of love hearing the students' perspective of how did you locate something, and how did you get into it, and hopefully that will inspire other students. So I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and talk about that first, since we're kind of on that topic. I was going to talk more about career stuff and majors. We can come back to that. We're kind of on the topic of extracurriculars, so we'll jump right into that. So student body vice president, would you care to maybe kind of walk me through how you first got involved with student government and how that led to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was my junior year. I started out as a at-large senator for the College of Science. So I applied, went through the entire interview process, became an actual senator in our student senate. And from there, I kind of grew as a senator, and then around the time of elections, so between the administrations of Stephanie Rogner and Anna Williams, and then the next administration I'd be running, Anna approached me after one of the meetings and said, "Hey, do you care if I talk to you a little bit?" I said, "Absolutely." So we met up, and we got a little bit of coffee at Starbucks, and she goes, "I want to ask you something. I want to see what your thoughts are." And I was like, Anna, I talked a little bit. We'd never really, communicated one-on-one in a depth a little bit. And she goes, "I'd like to see you serve as my vice president." I think you have a little bit of potential in the student senate. And I was like, absolutely. It's something I've been thinking of. Growing up on campus, like I said, Marshall's always been in my heart. And serving as student body vice president would be something that, it's another check off on my list I would love to do on that scale. So, we went from there, and that's when the planning started. It happened around October. So, you get a little bit of months between October and March. It's almost like a national campaign or a state campaign. You're working with, you're trying to pick out your cabinet members, you're trying to pick out what your slogan's going to be, the colors for your signs, literally everything you can think of goes into this one election. And for a student on top of school, it's a little important to think about, like, how you want to present yourself to your fellow students and how you want to be represented after you leave here. So yeah, she started with that, and then we had the election. We had the election right as soon as COVID was starting. So we had all this all planned out. Signs on campus, our social media platform, which is had to be updated later on, but we had things planned on campus, and then we got sent home from school at the start of the pandemic, so we had to switch everything we had in our minds, all the 6 months of working, into a social media platform. So that was a little bit of a struggle, getting everything situated. But we had a great cabinet behind us. Our cabinet members are some of the best on campus, and we picked them for a specific reason. They killed it, man. They helped us out whenever we needed it. So that's what we had to do. We had to switch everything over to a social media format campaign. So yeah, after that we won. That was an awesome feeling to getting to represent the students of the school that I call home, the one that's always close to my heart. So that paid off in the end. But yeah, absolutely. So I got started as a senator, worked all my way up to the president of the Senate now, and then soon by vice president. So.
Excellent. And I just love hearing you tell that story, 'cause I feel like there's so many good nuggets in there that I want to explore. But I think the one that stands out to me the most is how, because I feel like I remember when I was a student, I didn't do undergrad at Marshall. I did it elsewhere. But looking at people who have really cool positions like that, like, man, how did they get there? I've come to realize since then, and I think definitely this is your story too. I mean, you didn't wake up one day as student body vice president. I mean, you said Anna had approached you, and there had to be a reason. And for me, I'm just a very big proponent of, you don't start at the top. You wake up every day, you give your best. People notice that, and you'll be given a little bit more. So do you feel that's accurate? Do you feel that's been your experience?
That's definitely accurate. Waking up being supervisor vice president is a dream, but that's just definitely not the path that we had to take. So it was a lot of work and a lot of stuff we had to do. But yeah, I think the main thing behind our campaign is Anna was so driven. And it's not that I wasn't, but I wasn't as involved as she was at the time when she asked. So when she asked me, she's coming off being vice president herself, but she now wants to take that role as president. And I thought that was an extremely important step in her direction too, because she's going to be a great leader one day and a great person that we're all probably going to be following. So that's when she asked me. It started out as a cup of coffee, but then turned into my own office in the student center. So that's how it was a rough path. We took a lot of right turns and left turns and uphills and downhills, but for that entire 6-month process, I grew close to Anna, and after that we just became one and the same person. So that helped out too, finding someone that you really connected with on that level, and someone that you can lean on. I've definitely been able to lean on Anna. So that's like you said, it's not just waking up one day and becoming vice president. It was a long road to take there.
That's wonderful. And one other thing I really love from hearing you speak is, I mean, you talked about Anna and you also talked about the cabinet members, is I think you've given a lot of credit to other people too. I mean, you seem very modest, very down to earth, and just realizing that it's a team effort and definitely giving credit to those individuals. I just really like how you do that. I mean, I appreciate that a lot. So the other cool thing is that as far as cool experiences go for you, campus involvement, student body vice president is not where it ends. You're also working with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So do you want to go ahead and just tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so this goes kind of go back to my mom. My mom grew up here in Pittsburgh when she was a kid, and moved down to Huntington with my dad when they got married. So Pittsburgh's always been a second home to me. I have a lot of family up here, and growing up, surprisingly, I'm one of the couple Steeler fans in Huntington. I feel like it's always Browns and Bengals and Ravens, but all the other AFC North teams. Pittsburgh's always been my favorite team growing up as a kid, and this started actually as my freshman year, freshman to sophomore year of college. Like I said earlier, I worked as a student equipment manager on campus with Olympic Sports, and a couple of the guys in our office had been working training camps with NFL teams. The Ravens was a big one they'd worked with. I had that same I kind of want to do something like that, but I don't want to work with the Ravens. But no, at this point, I'd take any opportunity I had. And so when I wanted to reach out, I saw how they did it, and I called the Steelers organization, the front desk, and asked for the head equipment manager's email. Like, hey, let me at least send them an email. I know it's a little bit. It was about January, February, so it was starting the off season, but it's still pretty busy. And I thought I'd send them an email and see where we're at. Emailed them, didn't hear back. And I was like, dang it. It's like, man, that was my one chance. I had that one chance. And I started to let's explore other teams. Let's look at the Browns. Let's look at the Bengals. Let's look at the other teams around us. And the day before I was going to do that, I was sitting down writing my emails, not ready to send them yet, but he emailed me back. He goes, hey, I'm not really into email. He goes, do you care if I give you a call? And I said, absolutely. And the butterflies just started pouring out of my stomach. I was like, holy crap. About to get a call from the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was like, a kid on Christmas Day, you open up that box and it's just a phone call. So I answered the call, everything just kind of fell into place. Rogers at the time, he's not here now, but he was the head equipment manager, and him and I just, hit it right off the bat. I could lean on him and ask him any questions he had, but, that started as a phone call. He called me and we just talked. He said, I think by your email, he goes, and in your experience a little bit, because I think you're going to be a great fit. He said, so I'm going to offer you the job, but I don't want to do that yet. I'm like, okay. A little questions. He goes, okay. I want to learn a little bit more about you. So that's, I started talking. Starting as a kid growing up, and he's asking me a bunch of questions. And at the end, he goes, oh, yeah, by the way, we'll see you July 22nd here at training camp. And that's how he ended the call. And I was like, man, he didn't even offer me the job until the end. It was like a quiz. I had to do a 10-question multiple choice quiz. But, at the end, I passed. And it was just a great feeling. It started out in a working training camp. So I worked my first training camp, went back to school, and I'm just starting the semester into my sophomore year. And I get a call from him in the middle of math class. like, what could Rogers possibly want while I'm in math class? Like, what is this? So I go on, answer this call. I'm like, Rogers, what's up, man? He goes, hey, what are you doing? So, just in math class, like I'm in math 142, whatever it was. And he goes, well, I got a job offer for you. I'm like, okay. He goes, what are you doing on Sundays? Like, Roger, I'm usually eating pizza watching the Steelers game. Like, that's literally what I'm doing. And he said, well, how would you come work Group C? So a little background, Group C works with the visiting teams, like basically a visiting team clubhouse at a baseball stadium. So we basically do the same operations for baseball as we do for football. So we'd be working with the visiting teams that come to Heinz Field, helping them set up their sidelines, clean up their locker room, that kind of stuff. So like a little bit of work like that. And he goes, if you want to come up here on Sundays, we'll give you a pass. I'm like, all right. So he got the phone. I'm like, well, that's a little bit of a logistic nightmare. We're living in Huntington, driving 4 hours up and back in one day. But I did it. So I took that job. My gas tank was begging me not to, and my car was begging me not to. But I took that job. So for the home games starting after that, I worked Group C. So I worked all the home games up here in Heinz Field. And then after the season's over with, come back to school. That was literally driving up and back. So if a game was at 1 o'clock, I'm getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, driving to Pittsburgh, working the game, coming home and getting home at midnight, 1 o'clock, and going to school the next day. So it was a little bit of a challenge, but something that really paid off in the end. After I do that, work another training camp, do the same thing over again. That's 2 seasons in, and then COVID hit. I'm like, man, I really don't want my time up here to end. So my boss reached out. He goes, hey, we're still having training camp. It's going to be a little bit more of a different format. It's going to be with COVID restrictions in place. There's a lot of things that we got to take care of. And he said, we'd love to have you come back. And that's how the ball got rolling with my current job up here, and working the remote location you discussed in the opening questions.
Oh, excellent! That's quite a story. I loved hearing that from beginning to end. And one thing that struck out to me is when you talk about all the 4-hour trips from here to Pittsburgh, and how many people would have heard that and said, what, no, that's too much time in the car, too much gas money, too much. There's always a reason not to take advantage of an opportunity. But in spite of all that, you still did it, which I think is incredible. So I guess kind of my next question here is because you've taken advantage of a lot of great opportunities. So for students who are either seeking opportunities or on the fence about an opportunity, what advice would you give them?
I think one thing is, just be professional in your emails. It never hurts to reach out to people. If it's either email, even a phone call to their office. Just be professional when you do it, because you want to act like you are interested in the job, not just because you have to do it for class or you're actually interested. Make sure you show that passion for what you're about to do. And try to connect on them one-on-one, because these are real people too. They're not just a robot you're talking to. They're not a brick wall you're talking to. They're an actual person, just in a different role of an organization or company you want to work for. So, show that passion. Show that you want to be there, and show that you want to show up on work on time, and work as well as you can for them. And then kind of set yourself aside from all the other candidates. Find something that's unique about you, and portray that to that person. And I really think that will go a long way when we're looking for candidates for their job opening or their job or company.
So in other words, you really want to make sure you stand out in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's more. I think even for job seekers, like for college graduates, I think that's important too, because I think well this year obviously, but even before that, online hiring, LinkedIn, and all that. I think if you think about our networks, just by the sheer number of people who might be involved in them, it might be bigger, but at the same time, it might just be a connection on LinkedIn. So when you have this sea of people, how do you stand out? How do you get to be memorable? I think just doing a lot of the things you'd mentioned is probably a really good way to go about that.
I think Marshall's kind of unique too, because our network is so broad. We have so many different people that you go anywhere and you'll find someone from Marshall. And that's actually happened this past weekend at the Bills. We go to the stadium and I'm sitting there taking a picture, and a guy comes in and he goes, hey, are you Mike Powers' son? I was like, yeah. He goes, well, I went to Marshall. I know your dad. He was working for NBC for the broadcasting company. He was working as a sideline camera. 2 Marshall guys on the same field in Buffalo, New York, of all places. That was another thing too. Marshall has just such a broad connection and a broad network around the entire country and the world, even, that these people, the students can lean back on. I can find someone in Marshall, a company that you want to work for. I bet you there's somebody from Marshall or attend to Marshall or from Huntington even that's in that company. So it's always something to look forward to, and reach out to alumni and see if there's anybody that they can think of or they know of that might be in that arena or that field that you want to work in. Reach out to them too and see if there's any tips and tricks they know to help you get in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's personal connections, and I think also, kind of like you said, just the advice. I mean, I tell students, you know, it's cliche to say this, but don't reinvent the wheel. I tell students, don't make the same 10 mistakes I did. Learn from my mistakes. You know, start out ahead of the game. Don't, if I already found something doesn't work, don't you feel like you have to figure it out on your own as well. Just, you know, build on what I've done. So I think that's a really good outlook on it. So also, I just wanted to, before we wrap up here, because I want to be respectful of time and things like that. But before we wrap up, I just want to talk a little bit about career matters too. Now, you'd mentioned College of Science. Are you criminal justice? Is that right?
Yes, yeah, criminal justice major with a minor in political science.
Okay, awesome. So, would you want to tell us a little bit about what you see yourself doing, maybe in the short term, but then also ultimate career goal?
Absolutely. So, you know, when I growing up, I always wanted to be a lawyer. Law school is always, you know, that end of the tunnel vision for me. I always want to be a lawyer and work in the federal prosecution system. You know, that's kind of shifted a little bit. You know, working in the NFL, I got to get really close to our head security guy, Bob Jones. So Bob actually worked for the FBI for a number of years in counterterrorism. And from the talks we had up here, you know, game day security is a big thing. You know, we want to make sure all the fans and the guests to our field, and that covers every sporting event. We want to make sure you guys are safe when you get to view the sport you want to watch and the favorite team you want to watch. So, you know, I'm thinking a little bit. I'm kind of in that split road a little bit between what I want to do and what I really want to do as my dream. But, you know, I think I want to go into counterterrorism like Bob did. You know, I really talked to him a little bit. And so counterterrorism is something that I'm kind of putting my, you know, GPS on a little bit and seeing where it takes me. But, you know, criminal justice, I feel like the faculty we have at Marshall, absolutely incredible. And I speak, I'm a little biased. It's the only thing I've been in is criminal justice. You know, they're incredible faculty that, you know, has taught me a lot from even just the bare minimum of the intro to criminal justice all the way up to terrorism with Dr. Boyle last semester. So, you know, it covers the entire, you know, spectrum. So, you know, I'm confident with whatever they've taught me these past, you know, 6-8 semesters I'm about to take, that, you know, I'll be ready to go once I get into the workforce. So, you know, short term, we're going to play it out a little bit here with what I'm doing up in Pittsburgh. We're going to see how that you know, where that takes me a little bit. But long term, I kind of want to see myself in, you know, the federal level, working in some type of criminal justice, not even as an agent itself, and, you know, support staff or something like that, to make sure that, you know, their job is equally executed. You know, game day security is always something that I might be looking into as well. So we'll see where the road takes me.
Okay, awesome. And it now sounds to me too, and tell me if I'm incorrect on this, but it sounds like the opportunities that as a student you're taking advantage of are at least somewhat responsible for you. Maybe I don't know if you want to say rethinking things, but at least being more open to other possibilities now, just because you're realizing things that are out there.
It definitely is. You know, like I said, like growing up with the dream of being a lawyer. You know, I know a couple of lawyers growing up and stuff, and their work always seems, you know, very interesting to me, and the work they do. You know, taking this job, there's so much more that goes into like a football game. Like that's the thing. Like when I got up here, I didn't know about game day. I didn't know about the counterterrorism guys we have at the stadium. Same that I've been watching my favorite team, and, you know, there's counterterrorism FBI agents, you know, sitting in the concourse. You know, like, but their job is to protect the fans and the guests, you know, the players and everything like that. And I didn't know that until I took this job. So I was like, wow, like that's something that's, you know, has opened another door to the world that I want to go into. Now I know that there's other jobs, not just being a lawyer, not just being, you know, a law enforcement officer. There's other things inside the criminal justice arena, which, I mean, the faculty's even portrayed that too. You know, we have a different, wide variety of employees that we get to speak to throughout the entire semester. So it does introduce you to different jobs, you know, and by taking, like you said, the internship I have now, it has definitely opened the doors to what else is out there in the world of criminal justice.
That's incredible, and that's the kind of, I think one of the things that just stuck with me throughout this whole conversation is just how you've taken an opportunity, how you've seized it, and then how it's a lot of times it's not just that opportunity in and of itself, but how many opportunities will you get to because of that first opportunity. So I think probably on questions here, I'm in pretty good shape. But do you have any? I guess the last question would be: do you have any like parting words of advice for students at Marshall? What thoughts do you want to leave everyone with?
Yeah, absolutely. So I tell, you know, I did this in orientation. You know, I've always told students who have approached me, they've always asked, like, what's one thing you want us to know? And the one thing is just build time for yourself. You know, when you get to college, and I told freshmen this in orientation, you know, you're getting wrapped up in a world that you don't know. You don't know what college is like. You've had high school, you've had a structured schedule, you know, 8 to 3 every single day, except for the weekends and stuff. But you get to college, you have so much time. You have 3 classes or 4 classes that you're taking your first year. But I always tell people, build time for yourself. You got time for school, you got time for studying, but build time for yourself. Make sure you have time to hang out with your friends. I know in the pandemic, we're kind of steering away from that, but build time for stuff that you want to do. That was one of the biggest things I did my freshman year. Someone told me that, and it kind of just stuck with me. Build time for yourself. You are the most important person you can be. You're important. You're the number 1 person to yourself. So make time for yourself, make time for your mental health, make time for stuff that you want to do outside of school, because you get wrapped up in these, grades, like, oh, I got an A on this test, or, I got to pass this test. But at the same time, you got to have fun while you're doing it. And that's what, I built time for myself. And one of the things I always say, just, take a walk at River Park, walk around campus, walk down Harris Riverfront, do something you want to do. And, having that ability to, lean back on, like, well, let me study for this test and then I can go do this. I want every student to be able to do that, not say, oh, crap, I got to study for this test, and they need a study group at Drinko. Like, I just, build time for yourself. That's one of the parting words I always tell students, is just make sure you are your most important person. You are your number 1 person inside, because that's who you're going to be able to build off of. You're going to be able to build your future for yourself based off the stuff you do now. So, take time for yourself, study on your school, and always cheer on the Herd and the Steelers over in the AFC. So, yeah, being back serious there, man.
No, I love it, and I think that's excellent advice too, because I think not only for mental health and self-care as a student and matters like that, but I tell students, even from my perspective as someone who's not got married and haven't had kids yet, I still feel like I'm probably at least as busy as I was when I was a student, and God help me if I have kids and get married one day. It's not, and what I mean is it's I think as a student I always felt like, oh my goodness, I'm so busy, but it's not like life gets any less busy the older you get. So I think when you get into the habit of building those good habits, whether it's self-care, taking a walk, just having time for yourself, if you make that a habit now, then hopefully that's a habit that will pay off, down the road when you're my age and well beyond. So, all right, well, Kyle, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on OverHERD, a Career Education. I hope you have a wonderful break, and I just wish you the best with all of your future endeavors.
Absolutely, you too. Thank you for having me on. It's always good to connect with students, faculty members on campus. So it's always cool to come back. Working 4.5 hours, I kind of miss home. I miss Huntington. I miss Marshall. But we'll be back next spring, so we'll be good. But yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you so much for your kind words. I want to thank everyone who joined us, and hopefully you'll join us next time.